From the Ticats Audio Network, this is Ticats Today with Brayden Neville.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Ticats Today right here on the Ticats Audio Network for this Tuesday, August the 8th, 2023. On today's show, I will be speaking with former Ticat DB Sandy Beveridge, who is fresh off winning a gold medal at the World Police and Firefighting Games in Winnipeg. But first, we get to some news around the team. The Ticats announced yesterday that offensive coordinator and assistant coach Tommy Condell and the team have agreed to mutually part ways. Senior assistant coach Scott Milanovich will take over play calling duties. A tough move for the team to make, and wishing Tommy Condell all the best in the future. A great guy and an awesome coach that I believe will have no problem finding another job soon in the CFL. Tommy Condell has been with the team for 7 seasons, and in those 7 seasons has been a part of 4 Eastern Division champion teams. Pretty good ratio. Big news out of Hamilton during the bye week, but Scott Milanovich has the resume to continue with this offense and will be a more than capable replacement for Coach Tommy Condell. I think it's time now, though, I throw to my guest, and that's former Ticat DB turned firefighter, Sandy Beveridge. Sandy, thanks for joining me today, man.
Brayden, thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate being here.
Now, you're coming back from the World Police and Fire Games. Where were you for that? What does that entail? What kind of training goes into that?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, we just got back. We played last week. This year, Canada got to host, so we came back from Winnipeg. Very successful trip. We've played numerous times over the years, and this was our most successful trip yet. So it was fantastic to go out there and represent the Hamilton Fire Department in football. And we got to come home with the gold for the first time ever for any Canadian football team. So it was fantastic.
Well, that's incredible. So you compete against all countries from around the world in a competition like that?
Yeah, that's correct. So every 2 years they host the World Police and Fire Games. It moves countries all the time. Traditionally, football is only played in North America. So it's only usually when the North American countries host the games that we get to play football. So sometimes we miss the games, but we've had Hamilton Fire Department football team going to the World Police and Fire Games since 2001. My first year was in 2015. In 2015, we went to Fairfax, Virginia. We won silver. 2017, we went to LA and we won the bronze. And then this year, being the first time we've been able to compete post-COVID, 2023, it was hosted in Winnipeg. And for the first time ever, a Canadian team won gold, and we were happy to be that team. And it was a fantastic week out in Winnipeg, and we got to beat the defending champions to take the title. So it was awesome. It was awesome for every member of the team, and it certainly meant a lot to those guys that have been doing it for like 20 years. And for the first time, they got to be the champs. So it was awesome.
Well, congratulations. That's a big honor. So was this something, Sandy, you wanted to get into once you finished your CFL career? Firefighting was always something you were kind of looking at?
Yeah. Well, while I was playing, I moved just outside the city to Benbrook. And when I was living here, I just saw a sign that they were looking for volunteer firefighters. So I signed up, and I worked as a volunteer for 2 years while I was still playing. And I kind of realized, you know what, this is something that I really enjoy. It's something I would like to do post football. Maybe this is something I should start working towards. And then when I got the opportunity from the Hamilton Fire Department to come on full time in 2010, I took that opportunity. It wasn't the ideal time at the time because I was still playing and I really wanted to play. So it was a kind of an internal argument with myself of how much longer do I play football for before I move on to the next goal. And but I ended up making the decision to go to the fire department at that time, and no regrets. I was happy to play for Hamilton my entire career in football, and I'm now happy to work my entire career for the Hamilton Fire Department as well. So I didn't have to go too far, and it's been working out well. And now being able to play football for the Hamilton Fire Department, it's almost like the perfect marriage. There's no way I thought that 13 years after retirement from football, I'd still be playing competitive football for the fire department. So it's kind of a little bit of ironic there, but yeah, it's awesome.
It's like the best of both worlds. It's almost like firefighting. You kind of have that camaraderie like you would in football, where you're working for the guy next to you. You're taking care of those people that are working with you. Would you say that it's almost similar in ways in terms of the camaraderie of it and having that person that's going to rely on you while you're out there?
Yeah, without question. Like playing a team sport and then working a team job, it's very similar. It's like when you're in the hall, you're in the locker room. It's the camaraderie of being there together. Then when the alarm goes off and you're going out on a call, it's almost like you're running out of the tunnel for a game to start. And then when you get to that call, it's like you're executing the plays that you've practiced and rehearsed and practiced. And it's like, okay, if this happens, we're going to do this to execute this job. And if this happens, we're going to execute this to do that job. It's just, there's so many similarities in that regard. Like it's almost like you're in the locker room, you're running out of the tunnel, and then you're executing on the field, except for you're in a fire station, you're on a fire truck going out of the hall, and then you're at the call. So it's very similar that way.
It's not an easy job for anyone. It's a very difficult job, and it's one that I thank you for doing. It's a service that's not easy for someone to get into. Also, when you first got into it, was it difficult for you to kind of adjust to now being in these kinds of dangerous situations?
Yes and no. Yeah, like for sure it is. It was a little outside of my comfort zone when I first started training. I didn't have a huge background in that, right? So it's something new to you. But you have like all the characteristics and traits that feed into it. So as much as I had never trained to be a firefighter or knew exactly what it took, the characteristics of becoming that person, I guess I did have, and without knowing it. And then as things progressed and you learn the certain tactics and the policies and what you're supposed to follow. And it's so similar to being coached by someone. And you just kind of, the ball starts rolling. You start realizing, okay, I got this. I understand this. I know what they're doing. And then it just kind of all falls into place. So yeah, at first, you're a little apprehensive of something new. You're not sure. And then you just gain your confidence over time to the point where like, you know what you're doing, and you're there for the right reasons, and you just do the best you can at all times.
Now, Sandy, whenever you decided to retire, what was the reason you decided to leave the CFL?
It's not because I didn't want to play football anymore.
Yeah, clearly.
It's just the reality that, eventually it ends for everybody. It's not an old man's game. It's a young man's game. And, at some point you have to move on. As much as most people don't ever want to have to move on, there comes a point when reality hits and you say to yourself, how much more do I got, or how much more are they willing to give me? So, you start thinking like, okay, if I'm going to raise a family and I want to be here, I can't play football for another 30 years. But I got this fire department job that I'm really enjoying, just being a volunteer. What if I can make that a career, and then I can stay here and I can raise my family here? And you go from a short-sighted mindset at one point in your career to a long-sighted mindset at some point in your career, and you go, what's next? Because there has to be something next. And I guess just at that point, and I wasn't really sure at that time. I kind of wrestled with it a lot in my mind, and I went back and forth. And then at the end of the day, I was like, for right now, maybe I'm making the wrong decision, but for tomorrow, I'm probably making the right one. And I went with the tomorrow thought. So.
Absolutely. No, it's it's worked out for you clearly, and you're still winning championships even in your retirement. So it's something that's worked out for you. Now, one question I like to ask guys a lot is what it was like, or what it's like playing in front of this Hamilton Ticats fan base. And for you personally, playing here in Hamilton, what was it like running out onto that field and hearing the cheers from the fans here in Hamilton?
No, it was the best feeling in the world. I'll still never get that feeling ever again. I mean, you'll chase that feeling forever. The closest I got is like the adrenaline rush you get by being a firefighter and going into a fire and trying to save someone. But running out of that tunnel at the old Ivor Wynn, and the Ticats being welcomed and the Oski Wee Wee happening and everyone on their feet, especially on like a Labor Day game. Well, I would come running out of that tunnel, and it was like my chest was pumping so hard, my heart was pumping so hard, I could feel my shoulder pads moving. Like those big games, opening day, Labor Day, playoff games, the place is packed and everyone's so invested in it. And like it it's
Very.
just different in Hamilton. Like no one's not there to hang on every play. Everyone is on every play. Everyone's there to support you in totality. And now even like as a firefighter, sometimes I'm going to calls and you walk into like a fan's house and they're like, Sandy? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, how's it going? And I'm like, good, but I'm here to help you. Like, what can I do?
They're getting autographs mid-fire.
Not
But
quite that far, but yeah, I do get recognized still, which is kind of funny.
And just the way you explain it, it almost gives me chills. I've never had any experience like that, but one thing that you got to experience last year that was pretty cool is being the alumnus of distinction for one of the games last year. Just talk me through hearing you were going to be honored during the game, and just what was it like being honored at the game?
Yeah, no, that was fantastic. I think it's a great thing that the Ticats got going on right now, bringing back alumni and honoring them, years later and thanking them for what they did, both on the field and off the field. Because obviously in Hamilton, the community is a huge part of what the team is. So it's not just always what you do on the field. Off the field is also a part of it. But yeah, when I got that call, I was like, oh my God, like what an honor. Like of all the players that have ever played and pulled on the black and gold, to be one of the ones that gets to walk out there and lead the team out and hold the flags, and having my family involved too. Like I got 2 daughters now that never got to see me play, and they got to come out there with me, and they were wearing dad's jersey, and my wife came out, and just including the whole family. And I think that's the big thing with the Ticats now, is not just the player, it's the whole family. And I mean, it was just a tremendous honor getting that call and being one of those guys that got to do it, and having my whole family involved, and them getting to see like what I did before they were born, and understanding a little bit more of what Hamilton Tirecat football means to Hamilton. Them being from Hamilton, my wife's from Hamilton. It was a tremendous honor, and just being able to pass it down to the next generation that's what it's all about.
And yeah, it's incredible what they do, and just how far they go to show their appreciation to the former players. Now, you being a BC guy, did you decide to live in Hamilton just because you just fell in love with the place, or were there other reasons?
Well, numerous reasons. One, yeah, they gave me my first opportunity. That was big to me. I'm a pretty loyal guy, so you give me an opportunity when nobody else wanted to, and then you keep giving me the opportunity over and over again. I'm a loyal person. I respected the Ticats for giving me that opportunity, and every opportunity they gave me thereafter, I took it. A couple times I had some other opportunities, and I was like, no, you know what? They were here for me. I'm going to stay here for them. And then my wife's from the city, so that made things convenient. And yeah, you just start putting your roots down. The first couple of years, I kind of went back and forth, off season and in season. And then when I signed my second contract, I'm like, you know what? They've committed to me. I'm going to commit to them. I'm going to stay out there full time. And that's when I really immersed myself in the city, got to know the city, started doing far more community appearances and public relations events, and just kind of ingraining myself in it. And I fell in love with it. It's not too far off from like a city that I grew up in.
Yeah,
you work hard and you do well. And I think that's a good way to raise anybody.
no, absolutely. And I've been here a short while, and I'm even starting to see that. And just, I think the one thing you really notice is when you're at Ticats games, you just see the passion these fans have for the people representing their city on the field. And it's just something that, you just really admire. Now, going back to the firefighting competition, the police and firefighting competition, is that something you're training for all year round? Are you playing in a league during the year to train like against other teams, or how does that work?
So yeah, as a Hamilton firefighter, we do have a touch football team. We play every season in the summers here in Hamilton. But when we go to the police and fire games, we play flag football. So it's a little bit different. There's a little bit different change in the philosophy and the way the game's played. But yeah, we got a good group of guys here that we play every year, touch football in the summer around the city, Mohawk Sports Complex, or at Sherwood or Barton, Bobby Kerrfield. And yeah, we got a good group of guys, that tons of former Canadian University sports athletes on our team. Like our team that just won, like a credit to Canadian football, we had 5 guys that are McMaster alumni.
Wow.
3 Guelph alumni, 3 Laurier alumni. guy from Concordia, myself from UBC, like all guys that are just staying active in the football community, and they're all from Hamilton.
Wow.
And we all work in the fire department, and we just keep active, and and then we're ready for when the games come every couple of years. So yeah, it's fantastic. And we stay active and we do the best we can. I mean, it's always hard to always get together. Yeah. This one went really well, so we were quite proud of ourselves.
You have a bronze, a silver, and now a gold. So very impressive. Now, one thing I want to ask you before we go, this is kind of a football question. Now, the Ticats right now, not doing what they want to do so far this season. They're heading into a bye week. And when you're coming off a loss heading into a bye week, back when you played, what would your message be, and what would you be thinking about during that bye week? What are you doing?
Well, there's nothing worse than going into a bye week off a loss, but you're grinding because you're thinking, okay, you want to take a couple of days off and just kind of reflect on what's going on. And then after that, you kind of move forward and look at what's coming up for you, right? Mm-hmm. But you want to take that time to prepare as much as you can to make sure that next game starts the next part of the season off on the positive foot. I mean, what's happened previous is behind you. There's nothing you can do to change that. What you do moving forward can change what happens next week or the week after and the week after and the week after. So I think now is a time a lot for self-reflection. What can I do to better myself that's going to better the team? So I would be a guy that's probably going to go back and look at some of the film, maybe talk to the coaches and say, what are we looking forward? Like, this is next preparation for your next game. So take some film, get some extra work in, and just make sure that next game is a win so you can build upon that moving forward. That's what I would be doing. But yeah, I would assume that's what all those guys are doing right now too. I think they probably got a little bit of a sour taste in their mouth, and they want to move forward. They're ready to get back on the field. I'm going to guess they don't even want the bye week. They want to play this week.
Yeah, that's what I've heard about a couple times so far. So yeah. Well, Sandy, that's great advice. I know some of those guys are listening, and honestly, congratulations on the gold medal and everything you've done after your football career. Just appreciate you coming on the show today, and hopefully we'll get to chat again soon.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime, Ray.